They continue to push into the northeast. German Valley, 714. Pecatonica, 723. Those areas, you don't have much time to get in your safe spot. So now is really the time to do that. Duran, 730. It's going to continue to push into the northeast, closer to that state line as we are currently tracking those areas of rotation. That's what you're seeing here with those green and red colors coupled. When they start to spin around each other, that's when we are seeing a lot of that rotation, either from the slowly reaching from the surface. So something to consider. It looks like we are seeing that active tornado warning in those areas. You could see it here very clearly as we're seeing those red and green colors coupled even a little bit further to the north of Freeport, looks like. But this is our concern right now with an active tornado warning, again, for parts of Ogle and Stevenson County as well, as it continues to push near I-20. If you know anyone on I-20 headed towards or near Freeport, let them know that they are headed towards that area of rotation. Again, this is your time to take action. We will end up seeing potentially this continue throughout the next few hours. So I'll swap with Alex Kirchner for now, but continually watching this tornado warning.
So this is what we want to watch out for here is, just multiple threats that we are tracking when it comes to all of this activity. So look for, again, we're looking at multiple threats here when it comes to not only just the tornado warning, but also that severe thunderstorm warning. You can see that we've got all sorts of things up and down the radar as we go along throughout the course of this evening. So we just wanted to kind of reset here and get you up to speed on what we're seeing now. Two areas, at least on radar currently, when it comes to tornadic activity. We've also got that wall of wind, gusts up to about 80 miles per hour or so, moving along at about 70 miles per hour, just on its speed on its own, and then it's bringing, of course, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts on top of that. So that's what we're looking at on radar currently. As we take a closer look into, we'll kind of go down the line here. We'll start out with that tornado warning near the Stockton area. So this is outside of Lena, if anything, at this point. So that is, again, a warning out for at least about another half an hour or so. Kind of right outside of Lena. So hopefully if you're in the Lena area, you might be in the clear here. We might be able to get down almost to the road level when it comes to this activity. All right, okay, right over McConnell, right near Illinois 73. That is where we're seeing possible rotation with a tornado. If you're in Lena, you're probably in the clear at this point. Might be able to come out of your basement as those storms are past you. Winslow, McConnell, Oneco, you're up next within the next 10 to 15 minutes as this warning moves along. So that is, again, rotation right over McConnell. Let's then look towards that, and this was an observed tornado, correct?
Yes. Now it is capable of producing a tornado near Freeport.
Capable of producing a tornado near Freeport. So again, this is a confirmed tornado when it comes to this next warning in Stevenson County. I think we're going to sit on this one for just a little bit. Right near Florence, again, Illinois 26, and then heading towards Freeport when it comes to, again, got a brand new scan in from the radar, so we're getting that rotation approaching Freeport.
I did just get a report that sirens are now going off near Freeport, and it makes sense with this rotation now indicated.
Okay, so we got sirens going off in Freeport. Remember, those sirens, they're great if you're outdoors. If you're inside, you might not be able to hear them. You got the TV up, you got all the walls and things around you, so don't necessarily rely on those sirens, but we are getting reports of sirens going off into Freeport with that tornado warning as it advances along. Let's get nice and tight down onto where that is, because again, if this is a confirmed tornado here, we want to make sure that we're keeping a very close eye on this. So this is Freeport proper, as you can see. We've got US 20 running along this way, Silver Creek. This looks like Valley View Road, and then Highway 26. So if we could pop up the rotation tool. All right, so that is, again, kind of right outside of downtown Freeport, heading towards, again, looks like just between... Yep, that's Baileyville Road. So Baileyville Road is about where we're seeing that tight rotation on radar, where that possible tornado is. So that's right about where that location is. So again, if you're not in your basement already, Freeport, get there immediately, because we've got a tornado danger almost right on top of you, and we'll have to kind of see with that next radar scan where that trends next. But Silver Creek, that is a concern because that rotation's right on top of you as of this point. Up next would be Lancaster, Brown Mills, and then crossing over Business 20 and US 20. So if you know anybody that's out driving in that direction, tell them to get out of the way and get down into a ditch, because that is the safe spot to be. You don't want to be be in that vehicle. So give them a phone call. I'm looking at Brown Mills at about 7:15, the track on this particular tornado, again, heading right near downtown Freeport. So we will, again, continue to keep a very close eye on this situation as we progress along. And then further to the south, we had another tornado warning that will be moving into the southern section of Lee County. So this is south of Dixon, right near East Grove. You can see how the radar really just kind of kinks in on itself. My goodness, that is some tight rotation right there. You can see how these colors are swirling now. So this is right north of East Grove, heading towards Amby. And let me know, guys, if we got...
Parts of near Winslow and also south of Monroe. So moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour. This has been in radar indicated with a little bit of that rotation for Greene and Rock County. So a little bit further closer to Freeport and to the north is exactly around that area where you were just looking at, Alex.
Okay, so again, so that was just an update, an extension on that tornado warning?
Yes, into southern Wisconsin.
Okay.
Into
southern Wisconsin.
Correct.
Okay, so brand new warnings out now, extending into Rock County, 7:45, about 8 o'clock, the expiration there. So Monroe, you got that possible tornado heading towards you. Get to the basement if you're not already there, because you've been seeing those strong winds slide through. So, those are the spots that could be seeing 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and now a tornado threat. So, brand new warning out that extends into the western half of Janesville, or Rock County, near Janesville. Let's get back over to this warning here into southern Lee County, just because it was looking very bright and twisty on that radar, and that's the one concern I have, is to make sure that we're also keeping an eye on this too. And then let me know, guys, if this has been confirmed or not in that location.
There hasn't been anything confirmed.
Okay, so that's still a possible tornado heading towards Amboy. You can see how the radar really, like the radar winds really kink in on themselves right at about there. So, again, this is heading towards Amboy within the next, if we can get a track on that when you get a second, no big rush. But, we're looking at that heading towards Amboy, heading towards Highway 30, and then the interstate within the next, half an hour or so here. So Amboy, several minutes away, if that. So Amboy, get down into your storm shelter, get down into your basement. No confirmed tornado here, but you see how tight and see how kinked that radar looks. I think there could be some pretty strong rotation forming here. That could form a tornado at any second. West Brooklyn at about 7:24, Compton at about 7:30, Pawpaw at about 7:35. So that is the southernmost tornado warning that we're keeping an eye on. And again, we've got that warning near Freeport. We're going to go back to that. But also, on our way north, keep in mind, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings extending all the way out to the interstate, I-39. That is for wind gusts potentially up to 80 miles per hour. So that'll be into Rockford within the next about, if anything, I would say 15 minutes or so here. I know these are moving pretty fast, but if anything, they might have slowed up just a little bit when it comes to some of the timing on this. You can see Byron at about next 5 minutes or so, Rockford a little closer to 20 minutes from now. So that is, again, for that wind gust action up to about 80 miles per hour. So let's get back over to the Freeport tornado warning. So this is for, again, a confirmed tornado or an observed tornado right south of Freeport. If anything, it's kind of getting close to downtown here, concerningly. Let's get zoomed in on that just to kind of see if we can follow along with where that possible couplet is, where we're seeing these different colors kind of meet each other. It might be just outside of downtown, right at about where Business 20 and US 20 split there. So if you can kind of picture where that location is, that's about where we could be seeing that tornadic activity as that slides along. So we'll be watching that very closely here as this moves through some of our area. And if anything, we're getting some lightning out ahead of that. So, don't be out trying to look for this as it moves through. Make sure that you're indoors and staying away from this, because out ahead of all this, we've got those strong winds, potentially gusting up to about 80 miles per hour. I know it might take a second, but if anything, we can get our turbulence tracker on. That might be able to show where some of these very strong winds may be out of all of this. That's probably on top of Pecatonica, if anything, as we progress through the rest of this evening. So, bit of a recap here. We're looking at 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming with this line of thunderstorm activity. We've got tornado warnings stretching just outside of Lena towards southern Wisconsin. And then, if anything here, this is about where that tornado is, kind of right outside of Freeport, and then some very strong wind gusts extending out of this. And if we can go down the line, we can almost show off where we see that leading edge of the winds. So it's kind of right where you start to get that transition between, green on the radar and about red on the radar. So you might get a little light rain first, and then you really get hit with those strong winds. So we can kind of then pinpoint here, again, right about where this border is, that's where those 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts are coming from. Check this out right here. Might not be anything, but you can see how this twists on itself. Not looking great. So when we get a chance, we'll pull up our rotation tool and just look at that. If anything, it might just be some strong winds and some spooky-looking radar imagery, but it caught my eye, and I want to just double-check on any of these. If we can give you viewers an edge when it comes to these potential tornadoes, we will definitely pass that along. So, okay, that was...
The tornado warning for Ogle County has been expired.
Tornado warning for Ogle County has been expired. So that's that little sliver here near Foreston. If you're in Foreston, you're in the clear when it comes to that tornado warning. So again, that was this little corner right here, kind of right near Foreston. If anything, this is a Stevenson County threat located just to the north of German Valley, right near Freeport. That is that confirmed tornado working its way down US 20, working its way towards Rydot. So those are where we could see that tornado threat. Again, if anything, right near Rydot right now, that is where that possible tornado is. So make sure that you are hunkered down if you're in Rydot. You can see, again, we're getting a lot of turbulent winds here, so lots of swirling winds going around on our different data tools. You're in Rydot, make sure you're in that basement. Stay there as long as you can as we continue to have this warning out. Let's see if we can extend this because, one thing, us as meteorologists, we have to keep an eye on. Our TV station is out in this direction, so we want to make sure that we are aware of where that tornado warning is and where those winds could be headed to. So, if anything... we get closer to about 725, 730, we might have to make an adjustment here. You can see how on that radar data, we're really looking at things kind of swirling in on itself. If anything, what I'm going to do is kind of send it over to meteorologist Claudia Olek to kind of take over some coverage here, and we're going to kind of reassess what we might do as those strong storms get closer and closer towards Winnebago. So if anything, head over to the weather pod, and we'll have you kind of take over from there. Where, as you can see, on our roof camera, we're getting a lot of lightning towards us, so the storm's not quite here just yet, but they will be definitely on their way as we take a live look on our roof camera towards these storms heading towards Winnebago itself. So we got this whole line of winds taking over here, gusting up to about 70, 80 miles per hour. We don't want to ignore that threat or just be focusing strictly on the tornadoes. As this approaches spots like Rockford and Winnebago, you're going to want to make sure that you are, down and away from the exterior walls and all that, because these are hurricane force wind gusts heading towards us. So we'll toss it over to Claudia here to kind of drive our coverage for just a little bit as we reassess how we want to do our situation here at the TV station. I just want to do a safety check quick.
Thank you, Alex. It does look like we are potentially watching some area of circulation around Amboy. We may see a tornado warning issued shortly. So looks like there is a couple circulations just north of Amboy that may end up prompting that tornado warning. So we'll zoom in on that and see what we are currently looking at. So again, this is where we just saw that warning expire, may prompt another one as we are seeing a potential of some of that within Amboy especially. So taking a look, you could see we're seeing some of those little notches where those winds are kind of coming in on each other. That's the areas of circulation that we are currently watching. So I'll zoom in just a little tighter for you to give you a better idea. So you can see that in parts of Amboy now slowly starting to move even up into Franklin Grove. So really along that line, anywhere you're seeing some of those inflow notches, that's where we may potentially end up seeing some of that circulation prompting to a tornado warning. So as of right now, we aren't seeing any of that within Ogle County, but definitely seeing that threat for circulation. So something to keep an eye on. Again, if you are within Amboy, even Brooklyn, closer to Franklin Grove, even Rochelle, keep an eye on this and make sure you are paying attention in case we do have to take cover and run to that safe spot. So that is something that we are currently watching as we assess some of these watches and warnings. But right now, not seeing any new ones. Looks like there is a new severe thunderstorm warning for the rest of Ogle County. I'm going to take a zoom out here and see what we are currently looking at. Issued. We're continuing that severe thunderstorm warning, I should say. However, that, there is a possibility for tornadoes. So we do still have that area of circulation within parts of Ogle County. So make sure you are staying weather aware. Don't have to get in your safe spot just yet. However, we are watching that part of Lee County, I should say. So taking a wider look, looks like we just got a brand new tornado warning issued for parts of DeKalb. Lee County as well doesn't expire until 8 p.m. We are definitely seeing those severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and destructive straight line winds over 80 miles an hour. So this is where we are seeing that posing threat. It does look like some of that is slowly starting to even intensify, slowly moving just past Amboy. Looks like West Brooklyn. Pawpaw, you are next. Rochelle as well, and also DeKalb County. So if you are within DeKalb County, now is a really good time to get in your safe spot before all of this hits, along with Pawpaw, Rochelle as well. So we'll break that down here and see if where we are seeing potentially some of those areas of rotation. You can even see just the color differences from the bright greens and the bright blues as well. That's those very strong winds really packing a punch. Maybe not on the leading edge of it, but just past that, as also that's where some of that heaviest rain is starting as well. So we'll end up seeing that as we head within the next few minutes, slowly reaching towards places like West Brooklyn as well. So seeing that as we head into the next few minutes here. Rochelle, you are also in that tornado warning. So let's break this down here and give you a little timeline on where these storms are headed next and when exactly. So even Stillman Valley closer to, as of right now, slowly reaching you. So get in that safe spot as well. However, parts of the area in that new tornado warning, Rochelle, that does include you as well. So we're slowly starting to see that storm head towards you, closer to Kirkland at about 7:37, DeKalb 7:42, as we are currently seeing some of that slowly start to intensify. Again, not only are the circulations a threat, but those stronger, destructive straight line winds. So doesn't necessarily have to be tornadoes that we are tracking. Those straight line winds can really pack a punch and lead to a lot of destruction. So potentially seeing them over 80 miles an hour at times. It does look like we're seeing some of that moving through parts just near Ashton as well, slowly starting to move along as that line slowly starts to get closer to I-39. So that's what we're currently seeing right now. I'm going to take this tracker off for you and break down exactly what we are seeing and where. So go for it.
National Weather Service saying debris signature showing up west-northwest of Compton, passing over West Brooklyn. So again, we're getting a debris signature.
We are getting a debris signature just west-northwest of Compton. So we'll zoom in on that as we're seeing some of that through portions of the area. So,
and with all of that, I got a report from an emergency manager in the area, reports of wires and trees down in numerous locations south of Route 30. So that is right near Sublette, and maybe some semi-trailers blown over with that. All right, seeing some new signs of rotation along the line heading into western Winnebago County. So two things we're watching. Again, we've got reports of debris on radar near Compton, and we're also watching for possible signs of rotation right here near Pecatonica. So that is right along US 20. Because this is getting close to our TV station, we're going to have to move to our basement. We're going to have to move to our storm shelter. So what we're going to do is set up our temporary studio downstairs. We've got a mic and all that down there, but we're going to move the WREX staff to the basement because this thing is getting awfully close to us. So bear with us for a second. We're going to leave the radar up. Eventually we'll have some mics open. We'll be able to take over our weather equipment from there, but we got to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe too. So we're going to move to the basement right now. Stay with us for additional updates.
does everybody know? Okay.
From it, where the hell are you going?
It's right here.
You got it?
Yep.
Can somebody grab my laptop? Thank you. Grab the blanket. Perfect. We'll put that over the door. And then, Claudia, the computer should be ready for you, okay?
Yep. Alex has his too.
Okay.
All right, you should be able to hear us while we're in our shelter, our temporary studio. We moved to the temporary studio because, as you can see, we've got a brand new tornado warning out for Winnebago County. This also extends into eastern Ogle County, and it's all the way across Lee County, too. So we've got multiple tornado warnings basically stretching down the I-39 corridor. If you can hear us, you got to be down in your basement. That extends all the way to McHenry County and all of DeKalb County. So basically, this whole line of activity is tornado warned at this point. If you are watching us, get to your basement now. This is not time to mess around and try to see this storm or anything like that. We want you to make sure that you are in your basement immediately, and that's where we're at right now. We are sheltered down in our studio's basement because we do not want to mess around with this storm too. We got to make sure that we're keeping all of us safe as we progress through the rest of this evening. So, are you going to get the NWS chat up? Yeah, okay. We're going to go over to the radar now, and we're going to check out all of these storms and see where we can see all of this possible rotation. And again, we are, down in our basement. We are safe. We're hearing sirens in Winnebago, but we've got all of our staff in the basement, so we should be in our safe, sheltered spot. So we're going to go one by one here when it comes to all of this activity. We've got tornado warnings near Monroe and Broadhead. We're going to go north to south. Possible rotation right outside of Broadhead. That is where a tornado is or will be currently. In fact, got a brand new warning out for all of Rock County now. So if you are hearing us in Rock County, I know it's been pretty quiet for you. Janesville, Beloit, spots in between, basement now or in your storm shelter. Maybe that's to a hallway. Maybe that's to, the lowest floor. Just try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That is what we want you to do. So, again, tornado. We'll see if we can get confirmation on this one into Rock County and Greene County, but this is right along Highway 11 outside of Broadhead. So that is where one tornado is currently. Now, moving to Winnebago County, these are brand new warnings, and this is what, it caught my eye, it caught my attention. We got possible rotation coming out of Stevenson County in between Pecatonica and Winnebago. I'll zoom in quick here and see if we can get a more pinpoint location on that. And let me know, guys, if you start to see any kind of storm reports. Just kind of shout out as you see them. Again, right between Pecatonica and Winnebago, we've got a possible tornado. This would be right at about Winnebago Road and near Telegraph Road. So between Pecatonica and Winnebago, near Winnebago Road and Telegraph Road, that's where we're seeing rotation on radar. This is north of US 20, not quite over Winnebago yet, but you know what? If you're in Winnebago like we are, you got to get to your basement. That's where we are right now at WREX. We are in our shelter currently. So, again, that is one spot that we're watching closely. All right, Byron, Davis Junction up next. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to check out this rotation tool. If anything for you, I am seeing just a lot of wind, possibly gusts up to 70, 80 miles per hour. And, there's, if anything, a little bit kind of popping up here right outside of Byron. So this is why we want to, that's why those tornado warnings are out. At any point, you might get a little spin up like this developing on radar. So there is not a ton of time for you to, get to that safe spot. So, if you're not in your basement now, you got to be there. That's the action we want you to take currently. All right. Looking at Rochelle, looking at Willow Creek, looking at these locations to see just about where we have, again, rotation on radar and a lot of wind. Looks a little messy to my eye, but if anything, there's possibly some spots south of 64, Highway 64, when it comes to that possible rotation and a possible tornado. Might be another one located right near Alto, so kind of right near I-39. So those are the spots that, again, possible tornadic activity. Going to get back over to the whole scene and just kind of reset here because, if anything, tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings are merging here. So even if we don't see rotation kind of near your locale, there could be gusts up to about 70 miles per hour. Those are spots that, those winds can knock over trees, knock over power lines. So whether you're under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, you're going to want to make sure that you are away from all of the windows and the upper floor, and then, get down to the lowest floor as possible. With a tornado warning, it's the basement. So make sure that you are down in that location as we go along over the rest of this evening. All right, let's get back over to radar here and continue to track that again from north to south. Multiple tornado warnings out right now, stretching essentially from right outside of Monroe to Janesville towards Winnebago. So round number one, we'll do, like we did before, kind of working north to south. Broadhead, you might have something right on top of you right now. Kind of right within here, you can see that just to the northwest of Broadhead. That possible activity could be producing a tornado right in here. And you can see how the radar colors kind of swirl in on themselves. That is where we're pinpointing a possible tornado right now. And then, kind of let me know, do we have anything? Sure. Okay. We're still kind of working on making sure that we know the difference between the confirmed tornadoes and the possible tornadoes. You can see that strong rotation kind of northwest of Broadhead. All right. We're going to move southwards now towards that warning that was issued not too long ago for spots like Pecatonica and Winnebago. We might hold here for a little bit because this is getting towards a much more densely populated area. We're going to keep an eye on you, whether you're in Rockford or McChesney Park or that kind of thing. So, Wempleton, if anything, that's where I'm seeing the rotation right now. It might be out of Winnebago's hair, so that is some good news. And, that's where we're sheltering currently. As we look out here, strong rotation developing on radar right near New Milford. So, this is approaching bypass 20. I am seeing some strong rotation on radar right by the airport. So that is going to head its way northwest into Rockford. We'll see if we can get some speed on that for you in just a second. But that's where I'm seeing, again, some strong rotation on radar right near the airport for the Rockford area. That is moving at about 50 miles an hour. So as we put a track on that, I'm sure it's going to be aimed towards some sections of Rockford here in a second. So bear with me as we pull this data up again. That really stood out to me is that possible rotation, that strong rotation. You can see how dark those colors are right next to each other, right by about 251 and Highway 20. That will then move about in that direction. So that'll probably be moving closer to downtown Rockford at about 736, Rock Cut State Park at about 745, and then exiting from there. So those are the spots that are up next. Rockford, we've got that strong rotation, so you know where you got to be in this situation. It would be close to Loves Park at about 740, McChesney Park at 744, Argyle again at about 750, Rock Cut State Park right in between there. So we will zoom nice and in here and again pop this rotation up. That would be right over US 20 right now, approaching Harrison Road and Sandy Hollow Road. So those are the spots that would be up next. I think if anything, it's going to cross 251 within the next couple minutes. So again, this is kind of the south side of Rockford, heading towards right over US 20 and 251. that is where we could see that very strong rotation possibly produce a tornado at any second here. If anything, if you're in Winnebago, if you're in Pecatonica, I think you might be in the clear, as we do see a lot of that rotation kind of moving past you as of this point. So I think, if anything, we might move out of our shelter and back up in just a second here. But I wanted to kind of confirm that, give it one more radar scan before we make that move. And again, just to emphasize, we're doing what we preach. We're down into our basement right now. We got our whole staff down here because we were concerned about that rotation right near Winnebago. If anything, I think the worst of it might be past us. So we'll probably be making a move in here in just 1 second, but we will have to continue to keep an eye on this right near 251 in US 20. Moving towards Ogle and Lee counties. Again, you've got a whole line of wind here. If anything, there's a lot of strong wind gust activity, especially to the east of Pawpaw. You're looking at gusts up to about 70 miles per hour or so, and then passing Rochelle, too, when it comes to all of this. So I'll actually pull up the winds here and just kind of show you where some of the strongest of the winds are. Bear with me. You can kind of see those bright spots on the map. That's where the strongest of the winds are. So if anything, they're past Pawpaw, they're past Waterman at this point. While I have this data tool up, we're going to reassess that situation heading towards Rockford as of this point. All right. I think what we're going to do is move back into our studio, but we got to keep a very close eye on what's going on right over Rockford, because, again, that's where the worst of the danger is currently. Looking at some strong wind gusts right along US 20, heading towards downtown, and, again, that possible strong rotation, a possible tornado right over New Milford as of this point. So bear with us for one more second as we move out of our shelter, because we are now in the clear, and move back towards checking out, again, downtown Rockford. You've got a possible tornadic situation on top of you, so make sure that you are down in your basement. So, again, we are going to make the move right now. If you see someone driving around downtown, just make sure you flag them over and get them to their safe spot. We're going to give you a live look at downtown Rockford right now as that possible rotation moves along. I don't know if we're going to see anything, but I wanted to pop that up just for a second. So here is the latest warning map. We will be moving back to the studio in just 1 second, so bear with us as coverage resumes shortly. Okay, we are back live in our studio right now. I think we're having a weather clicker because we just moved out of our shelter and back into our studio. So let us take a moment as we reassess the situation here and get everything logged back in. And you know what? I think this is only the second time in my career that I've had to run to a tornado shelter in the middle of a tornado warning, in the middle of tornado coverage. So I just want to emphasize here, we do not take this lightly. If there is a tornado warning for our location, we here at WREX take shelter too. So that's why we want to make sure that you are doing the same. Definitely follow our advice and we practice what we preach. Here's a big reset here. Multiple tornado warnings working into southern Rock County. So we'll have to watch this line of activity here. We also have all sorts of strong winds working their way into DeKalb County. And then, if anything, I want to pause that radar and get right down into Rockford itself. Because, again, we saw rotation on radar. That tornado warning still in effect. We'll have to see if anything has been confirmed out of that. It is essentially kind of right over downtown. We'll have to get in a lot further than that, just kind of check out just exactly where it is. Let's get down to street level. Let's get all the way into it just to make sure that we can kind of see whereabouts this rotation is. Here we are at Guilford, Fairview Boulevard. You're looking at, this should be Spring Brook and Spring Creek kind of right here. So it's getting close to that whole interchange here of Alpine Road heading towards Springbrook and Spring Creek Road and Guilford Road. So, if you hear my voice, you still want to be in that tornado shelter and stay there, because that's where we have that possible tornado tracking. Again, right through Guilford Road, right towards Springbrook Road, and right near Alpine Road. That's where that strong rotation is currently. And on top of all this, you're not going to be able to see this coming. We got a lot of rain and wind whipping around with this, and potentially gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So this whole thing is not just tornado warned. There's also some severe thunderstorm activity with it, looking at gusts potentially up to about 70 miles per hour or so. So that is, again, a lot of big threats here. You can kind of see there's another kink in the radar. This might, if anything, might be bowing out some. So some strong wind gusts potentially popping up south of Cherry Valley. Let's check that out. I don't know if that's necessarily rotation, but we are looking at, again, possibly some strong wind gusts right along that Winnebago to, if anything, that'd be Ogle County line. So multiple spots that we're tracking here with some strong winds heading towards Cherry Valley itself. But if anything, that's the big concern here. Right over the middle of Rockford, we've got strong rotation on radar. And let me know, guys, our team of meteorologists is here. We got John Juergens, we got Claudia Olick on the studio with me, kind of asking me different updates and things like that. So, if you do see any kind of new reports or if anything's been confirmed, definitely shout it out. If we get over to the safety slide here just for a second, we'll kind of go through some of the different safety things that we want you to do. So, tornado warning, you still got to be into the basement. That's the big thing that we want you to be at as of right now.
It doesn't look like there was a confirmed tornado. If anything, we are definitely, looks like they're going to continue that tornado warning for parts of DeKalb and Ogle County with those thunderstorms potentially producing tornadoes here. So again, that's located along that line, extending about from Davis Junction near Waterman, slowly starting to move through the area. And that's exactly what that line of thunderstorms that may end up producing some tornadoes. So you could see some of that has been cut off into parts of DeKalb County. You're currently looking at your current alerts right now. So still seeing multiple active tornado warnings in effect. So make sure you are in your safe space. We are still seeing that threat, especially with those stronger winds. So may even see this squall line slowly start to produce not only some areas of circulation, but along with some extensive straight line winds. So those can be very damaging. This is all moving northeast at about 60 miles an hour. So definitely seeing that moving through portions of the area. You're noticing those warnings in effect. And again, this is your time to take action. So let's take a look right now at our radar to see what we are currently looking at. You'll notice a lot of places within Lee and Ogle County already in the clear. So that does include Dixon and even up into Freeport, but Rockford still seeing a lot of those impacts, even through Malta, DeKalb, currently pushing further to the northeast. So we'll zoom in on some of these communities to see exactly what we're seeing. So still under that current tornado warning. Taking a look at your rotation tool, still seeing a potential for some of that, getting a little close to Belvedere now. So we're seeing some of that where you're seeing some of those very deep and bright colors slowly starting to really move along I-20 and close to that I-90 corridor. So that's what we're seeing right now, where you're seeing that very bright blue color slowly starting to kind of turn in on itself along with those bright greens. So moving further into the northeast as it slowly starts to
very strong wind gust activity, if anything, kind of right close to, US 20 and I-90 there. So that's kind of what's catching my eyes. Maybe some very strong outflow coming out of this storm. So if anything, whether it's a tornado or whether it's strong wind gust activity, you're going to want to make sure that you're down and avoiding that because of that wind threat here. And if we can get down maybe closer towards the Rockford area too, with that, we had that spot kind of right near Guilford Road, as well as, if anything, that might have moved on roughly right close to I-90. These storms or I-39, these storms are moving very fast. So you can see on the right side of your screen, we got a live view of downtown Rockford. You happen to know anybody driving out there right now? Tell them to try to get to a safe spot as quickly as possible. The strong rotation itself might be now closer to I-90 when it comes to that tornado threat, so it might have moved on beyond downtown Rockford. Now we're going to pull a whole, as you can see, squall line out here, and if anything, I'm having a little trouble reading that. So if we can go full screen on me, please, I can then see. Thank you. Caledonia at 7:45, Cape Breton at about 7:50, Harvard about 7:57. So I don't believe we've got any of those. So we do have the tornado warnings out for all of Boone County. So you're up next with all of this. A lot of the potential damaging winds here have moved beyond the Rockford area and then heading towards Boone County up next. Again, Caledonia at 7:44, Cape Breton at about 7:50, looking at Harvard close to 8 o'clock. So those are the counties or communities, I should say, up next as this continues to move along into the northeast at about roughly 50 miles per hour. It has slowed up some, but that's still moving at highway speed, which means it definitely reduces the amount of time that you need to get to shelter. So as then we look, a lot of this is past I-39. It's moving out of Lee County. Like Claudia mentioned, I think a lot of Lee County might be in the clear here, right over DeKalb. So let's check out DeKalb just for a second. We want to keep an eye on our friends at Northern Illinois University, and in that community, hopefully there's there is a little bit of rotation, plus those strong winds right behind it. So they're coming out of Afton. You might be getting, again, some strong wind activity, gusts up to about 70, 80 miles per hour. And then we are getting a little bit of a rotation, or at least some indications of a rotation, right to the south of DeKalb. So that's just to the south of 38, Highway 38, as you kind of look at where you are on the map. So kind of in between I-88 and Illinois 38. That's about where we could see, again, possibly some spin-ups on the radar in addition to that strong wind activity. So up and down the board, this has been the issue with this storm front or this gust front as it moves along. You got the strong winds, and then on occasion you get a quick spin up, you get a quick tornado on the leading edge of that. So that's why there's multiple things that we are tracking and trying to keep you up to speed on. So really, if you got a warning, whether it's a tornado warning, I think all locations are tornado warned at this point, we want you down in the basement, whether you're in DeKalb, whether you are in Cherry Valley, whether you're in Janesville and Beloit. It's all stretching up and down that I-39 corridor. At any moment, a tornado could pop up, and you've got those hurricane-force wind gusts. So we mentioned it multiple times through our little broadcast here. Get down to the lowest floor without windows. So put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get below ground. Get out of that mobile home and cover up with blankets and bike helmets. Going to toss it over to meteorologist Claudia Olick here just to kind of see if she's got any more information or anything new that we've got to update our viewers on. We've been very close in on the radar. So, Claudia, give us kind of just an overall view of all of that activity as we progress through the rest of this evening and, kind of take an assessment of what we see when it comes to all these threats moving along.
As of right now, Alex, it does look like a majority of this is slowly starting to push further to the east past I-39. So looks like most of Lee County is out of the in the clear, even slowly seeing that trend for Ogle County as well. So most of that threat still resides within really parts of Winnebago, as well as now Boone and DeKalb counties. So that's what you're seeing right now. Still seeing an active tornado warning for parts of the area. Let's zoom in on Belvedere to see what we are seeing. Lots of that strong wind gusts coming through, and as well as potentially some areas of, that's where you're seeing some of those really strong wind gusts, if anything, right through Belvedere as of right now. So definitely still want to stay away from your windows and things like that as we head into the next few minutes. And you can see a lot of those wind gusts really starting to pick up, even as we get closer to Poplar Grove, even along Route 76 here. So if you know anyone traveling in this area, thinking about heading out, just let them know, hey, hunker down for just a little bit as we are seeing. Yes.
We just got something from the National Weather Service, a debris signature in central Boone, just north of Belvedere, moving east-northeast. So right where you are pinpointing right now, we are looking at potentially some debris showing up on radar. I know it might take a second for us to get our debris tracker up, but we will check that out. If anything, that will be, there we go. Not necessarily seeing a ton as we see it right now, but the National Weather Service said on their end they were looking at, again, just north of Belvedere moving east-northeast. So if anything, that would be kind of maybe right in this section here where we are getting some bright colors. So that spot you just pinpointed, if we're getting debris lofted up on radar, that is a tornado lofting that debris. So I think there might be some very strong end winds there, but if anything, that's where that tornado is again, right in this section here, kind of right near Illinois 76, north of Belvedere. National Weather Service, we saw it too. debris on radar, tornado, definitely causing some damage here as we progress along. So that is, again, one spot we're going to watch for here. Let's see if we can zoom in on Belvedere just to make sure that Belvedere itself is kind of out of the danger, if anything, or we can pinpoint some of the roads. It looks like Marengo Road and Logan Ave. Those are some of the spots where that debris is getting lofted up right now. So again, we're getting reports of debris on the radar. That is a strong storm. That is causing damage. That is what's popping up right here, right along Marengo Road, and then moving east-northeast towards Woodstock Road. So, if you're in those locations, that's a great indication right there of what that might be. Again, getting some debris on radar right to the north of Belvedere, kind of in between Squaw Prairie Road and
76, that is Belvedere North High School.
right here is Belvedere North High School. So right about there, we're getting debris on radar. I really hope that you have been down in your basement for a while. Continue to stay there because, again, we're getting debris on radar when it comes to just north of Belvedere. We will continue to kind of keep an eye on some of the additional updates from the National Weather Service, but that was one that caught my eye. That right there near Poplar Grove also does not look the greatest on radar 2. So if we have anything, we could maybe switch over to our velocity tool when you get a second here. Anytime we see these bright colors popping up on that debris tracker, that is concerning. But we'll see if we can cross-reference that with some possibly strong rotation. If anything, that's a lot more linear, so that could be just a very strong winds moving into Poplar Grove. But if you're by Belvedere North High School, tornado possibly causing damage near you, continue to stay in that basement. Stay in shelter. Poplar Grove, you might be getting a lot kicked up right ahead of you with some strong winds. We'll keep an eye on this area, too, to see if we've got any kind of tornadic threats right near there. But that debris tracker's handy because it kind of gives us an indication of what might be getting thrown up by either just some strong winds or a possible tornado. So out of that tornado threat, again, this is right north of Belvedere, Capron, within the next 10 minutes. So please, if you're not there already, get down into that shelter. Harvard a little after 8 o'clock, and then Bigfoot Prairie at about 8:08. So this will be heading towards Capron within the next 10 minutes or so, if it's managing to hold together. So we'll have to watch that very closely as this thing moves along. So again, right near Poplar Grove, 173, right north of Belvedere, right near, again, that Belvedere North High School. That's where we're getting some debris or a lot of turbulence popping up on the radar itself. I don't want to forget about our viewers in, we're going to have to come back to that.
I was going to say, Alex, there is a new tornado warning issued for parts of Rock and Walworth County up into southern Wisconsin, like you were mentioned. May end up seeing some of those stronger thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes near Janesville, so a little bit further to the north, and that's what you're seeing there behind you on Exact Track.
Okay, thanks for that update. You can see that warning now extending all the way to Lake Geneva. Want to make sure that we've got people that watch us in Janesville. I don't want to forget about our friends in southern Wisconsin. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll check on that in a second.